This week, there were two major updates to the Obsidian Bases Core Plugin that narrow the gap between Obsidian and Notion more than ever. The first is the ability to view tables as cards along with better image control. The second is the ability to add new notes to your table, with the new note gaining all of the properties of that view. Basically, bases have now become automatic template generators. There were also a lot of minor updates this week that relate more to property control and migration, along with better image control and the ability to bring images directly into the tables of your base. In today's video, I'm going to walk through all of these updates along with some practical examples on how you can begin using bases in Obsidian much more effectively. Hi, my name is Callum, also known as Wanderloots, and welcome to today's video on the latest updates to the Obsidian Core Plugin Bases, introducing card views and automatic new note generation. While these are the two biggest updates in my opinion, there's a full suite of updates that have made bases much more user-friendly and accessible. There were actually more updates that were released while I was making this video, so I managed to include the last two updates in this video, so you'll be able to see all of the most recent features and learn how you can begin using them much more effectively inside of your Obsidian note-taking system. If you find this video helpful, I would love if you would please consider liking and subscribing, as your support enables me to continue making these videos. As I make more of these base tutorials, I'll also be making all of my bases available as templates to my paying YouTube members. So if you find this helpful and you want to get access to these templates yourself, please consider joining my membership to continue supporting me. Now let's dive into all of the updates to bases. So Obsidian just released their latest update, version 1.9.3, and this is available for early access or the Catalyst members. And first what I wanted to do was just quickly walk through all of the latest updates that we have here, the improvements to the Obsidian ecosystem, and in particular, the major updates to bases. This is the biggest update that I've seen to bases so far. And for context, I talk a lot more about what bases are in video 1, where I gave an intro to bases, talking about what they are, how to get them set up, the key features at the time, some practical use cases, and comparing bases to Dataview and Notion. And this latest update actually makes a huge change to how I would compare Obsidian to Notion. So if you're interested in the basics and how to get all that set up, I recommend watching that video. But today we're going to focus on the updates. So there's a few major updates here. I thought it'd be helpful to quickly walk through the key features and then give some practical examples of what can actually be done with Obsidian Bases now. And then I'm going to show you specifically an example I built that I wasn't able to build before, a project management and task system for myself using Obsidian Bases. I'll give you a quick overview on the features that I added to those bases. And if you're interested in specifically how I built these bases, the one that I'm going to show you for project management and tasks, the next video is going to be an in-depth walkthrough on how to actually build a project management system for yourself using bases. But now let's take a look at the key feature updates. So the first one that they talk about in release notes for 1.9.3 is that they've made a change to specific classes for properties. So basically what this means is rather than having a tag property like the old style, they're only allowing you to use tags, the plural. Same with aliases and CSS classes. And the reason is that they're trying to make it more consistent for when you're using the bases view, which effectively is better practice for data management and for database management specifically. So they do have an option where you can use the Format Converter Core Plugin to fix any of your old tags, aliases, and CSS class properties that you want to migrate to the new one. Or for example, if you're coming from Notion, now that you've realized that Obsidian is perhaps better than Notion and can do most, if not everything that you can do in Notion. And if you had these properties in your metadata from other files, from other platforms, you can now migrate them very easily to the format that you have in Obsidian that will be accepted by bases. The rest are pretty minor changes. And then we get to the bases. There's 4 key options here. They added the new cards view format, which I'll show you in a moment. And basically this allows you to display your files in a grid, and then you can assign a cover image to each file that will be displayed in that base. You can also exclude files in bases now. And this is a big one. You can now have formulas that add a lot more flexibility for how you're using dates. So effectively, you can now use like a duration. So you could have, for example, due date is in 7 days. So you give a property of due date, and then you say due date minus today, and it will actually calculate the difference, the days remaining for you. So I'll show you a practical example of that in a moment. There's also been an improvement to the link format, so you can link to external properties now, to external URLs, and you can actually sort by that if you want to, as you can see down here. They've renamed group by to group by, and this is for a feature that's coming soon in the future where you're going to be able to group different files that you have within your base. And then the final major update here that I'm most excited about is we have this new item where you can automatically create a file that matches the filters of the current view in your table. So that to me is incredibly powerful. This is the main feature I was missing from Notion when I came to Obsidian. So I'm excited to show you how that works. Okay, so this is me from the future. I was editing this video on June 28th, and I noticed actually that last night, since I've recorded this video, they've actually updated Bases again. There's just a few more features that I want to show you before we get into all of the practical examples. So the first is that you can now control the card size slider. There's an ability to add a row height change. There's a new property where you can now control and display everything that's embedded in a file. You can export bases now as CSV, which is pretty cool. And there's also this new image function for rendering images inline. So now that we have these additional features to show you, I'm going to go through the features from June 26th first, and then we'll get into the updated features for June 27th. I know this was a lot of technical information, but I thought it'd be helpful now to show you not just what those major features are, the ability to add new notes, the card view, the enhanced property handling and property migration, the ability to have external links, and dynamic formulas and dates in the table. So for example, one thing that we could do is we could build a project board or a dashboard. And this will give you a lot of dynamic ability now because we have the improved dates. So your table will update automatically depending on the date. So that's pretty powerful. You can instantly choose the database that you want to expand a new note with. So you can imagine you have a particular project view that I'm going to show you in a moment. And you could just click a single button that adds a new task that matches all of the properties inside of that project. So you can effectively think of this as a template generator within Bases itself. So I think that's going to be great. It's going to streamline a lot of organization in my vault in particular. So I'm excited to show you that in a moment. Another practical example would be now you can have a single research table like you would have had previously with Dataview, but you can mix a lot of different resources like articles, books, videos, all in one place, and then you can easily add and filter depending on what it is. So for example, you could have your sources table, and you could go to the video view and then just click a new button with this new note creation option, and you'd be able to just add a specific note that has all of the properties aligned with the video template. You don't have to go create a new note and then add a particular video template. You can just mimic and copy, you can clone the properties in that table already. Another option that I think is going to be interesting to explore would be spaced repetition. So for example, I could have notes in my table and I could have a comment on days since I last edited or days since I last opened this note. And that would allow me to better track what I'm learning and how often I'm returning to the things that I care about. Similarly, you could do a reminder where when time reaches 0, then something happens. And I'm not going to get into the specific details on that, but this all kind of comes back down to the dynamic element. And then the visual component specifically is your ability to add cards. Okay, so now let's create a base, and I'm going to walk you through how these features work. So the first thing you need to do that I talked about in the last video is you need to make sure that within your core plugins you have bases turned on. And again, I talk about this a lot more in the first video, but if you aren't a Catalyst member, you don't have this section here turned on, receive early access, which means you might not have access to bases yet, depending on when you're watching this video. So you can either get the Catalyst license, which costs $25, or you can wait until it has the full release. So I already have this turned on. Now I'm going to click Command P, base, and I have the option to either insert new base or create new base. So let's create a new base. So you can see right off the bat, it's got all of my notes in here. So this is one of the key benefits compared to Notion because it starts off with everything here. And now I just have to go through and introduce properties and filters. So I'm going to show you quickly my book space. So I have my overall book table here, which has the filter of where tags contains book. And then I have my sub view here where nonfiction, where the filter has another layer just specifically on this view on tags contains nonfiction. So I can go back over to fiction and same thing. I got this error from the previous version, change filter to delete this particular view. Click delete, switch property tags contains fiction. And now I've got a list of my fiction books. And what's really nice about this is, for example, I have this book here, Zen and the Art of Motorcycle Maintenance. That's actually not a fiction book. It's a nonfiction because I have both here from my initial book template. And I can just quickly modify this property right here by removing fiction. And then the book gets removed from the fiction table. So that's really cool. What you can see here is there's this button up on the side here that says new. So if I go back to table here, the main view, if I click new, it will just create a new note here with all those properties. tags, book, author, genre, updated. I can just quickly give it a title there. I can write directly in this note, and it will add this to the entire chart here. I can expand this fully, then I can go back, and you can see that this was just added to the bottom of my base. So it pulled in all of the existing properties. Effectively, what this has done is it's turned bases into a template generator. And what's really cool is I can add a property to everything all at once. And this brings me to the second part. So not only can I just create a new note here, but I can also modify the table. So I can go over to the table view on the side and click Add View and switch from layout to cards. And here I can define what I want the image property to be. So now that I've created this book card view, I can change it to cover, which is what I've previously been using. And you can see right away it starts populating with the covers of the books. And I can switch from cover to contain, and then it will fit the book cover in here. You can see which ones have come with the particular cover. And I can go and I can add the cover property here, which is what I've been using for books, and turn that on and designate that this is what I want the properties to be. So it looks like not all of them are coming through because I have these books here. Oh, and I see it's because it's not listed as a note. So if I come into, for example, this book here and turn this into a note, let's see if that changed it. Yeah, now Tiny Experiments appeared. So what I can do is I can go back to my main table now, and I can introduce the property of cover, which is what my books have been automatically generating as. And you can see which ones have it and which ones don't. So let's say I bring this over, expand it. I can just edit it right here. I can just turn this into a note, and that now takes you directly to the cover. So this is a cool way for me to be able to just quickly edit all of my cover files that I have here already and start populating this view in a little bit more of a powerful way. Now let's switch back to the cards view, and you can see more of them are starting to populate. So I think this is a cool way because I personally would much rather be looking through my notes and filtering here from a card view rather than from this main table view, which is not as helpful. And what's really cool, I'm really able to edit all of these notes and turn them into links right here from the table, so I can quickly batch edit a whole bunch of files. And the reason that I only have some notes that have the property is because I use what's called the book search plugin. So for example, I can use book search and create a new book note. So I can search for a book, let's say Nexus by Yuval Noah Harari, and you can see here it pulls it up. So I'm assuming that it's this one here, and I click on it, and this automatically populates with my book source template and pulls in the cover image. So all I have to do now is just quickly turn this into a linked note. This is a fiction book, so I'll remove nonfiction. And now if I go back to my book space, you can see that it just updated to include Nexus, and it has the file here. So if I switch back to the card view, it has the card here. So that just took me a few seconds to go get the cover image for this book using the book search plugin. So I hope that helps you see how easy it is to now start modifying the views that you have here with that new update, and how much nicer it is to take a look at the books here with the covers and then click into it to go read the book notes that I have on it. So there we go. I've shown you now how you can add new notes, exactly like Notion, that match the property. I've showed you how the card view works. The property handling and migration, that's something that you can just use the core plugin for. So that is here, if we go to settings, general, core plugins, there is the format converter. You can open the format converter, and you can see here that it has all these options for converting. So this is actually easier than I thought it was going to be, so I'll quickly show you. You can see at the bottom here, there's now this option for front matter migration. So I can turn that on. And if I click start conversion, it's going to move all of the properties for tags, aliases, and CSS classes to the strict format for version 1.9 for bases. So I'm not going to do this right now just because I have a lot of notes and I want to back it up. So it's pretty easy for you to be able to do this. Okay, so now for the external links, let's take a look back at the book space. So I'm going to go to the table view here, and basically I can just go like this, properties, search for link, and click enter. And that has just added links to here. Oh, interesting. So I actually thought that was going to take me to the URL, but what this is doing is it's giving a list of all of the links that are in the note. So that's a cool way that it can just present all of the links for you all in one spot. For example, if I go down to Truly You're Joking, Mr. Feynman, it's got Feynman, it's got the Amazon link to the book, has the cover art, and has Richard Feynman, and the Feynman Technique 2025 reading list. So it's pulling in all of these links into this table here. So I think they're working on improving this view in particular. That's part of the group by. But for now, it's nice that you don't have to run some complex, are there links connecting to this note? Like what links does this note contain? Because it will automatically just pull in the links for you. So that's cool, but let's get rid of that for now. So I was actually more referring to something like a URL as a link, but I believe I usually call it reference. So if I add that in here, sort by reference. Yeah, okay, so if you go over to finding flow, you can see that I've got a reference here to finding flow. And in this one here, the Surely You're Joking, it actually pulls in the Amazon link. So what's cool is I'm able now to click on that and it will pull me to that particular link. So this is a new update to the Bases feature, is the fact that I'm able to just go and click on these links and add links directly here. So this is a really powerful way to just go, and I could grab a link for all the different books and just batch add them all in this property here, and they would automatically get added to the book itself. Okay, and then the last one is the improved dates and formula. So for this one, I wanted to quickly show you, I create a new view. I could call this maybe days since read. And this is gonna be a table format. And I'm gonna go over here to properties. And this is just for this specific view, not for all views. I'm gonna see how long it took me to actually read the book and make some notes on it. So this could be duration on my shelf. So what I can assume here is that the creation date of the file, if I go into properties here and search for on shelf duration, add property, go to formula, I could do file.ctime minus file.mtime. And this would show you the duration between when I created the note and when I last modified it. So for example, Atomic Habits, that was one that this is just a placeholder note. I actually have another note called Atomic Habits here, and you can see that one took me 3 months to go from creating the note to the last edit I made. And then I can sort by this. This just kind of shows you how there's a lot of books that I've added perhaps to my shelf, to my to-read list, but then it took me a while to actually finish the book. And obviously there's going to be some inaccurate ones, but I would say I think Snow Crash did take me about 2 months. So then the next example I'm going to show you here, I'm going to create a new base. I'm going to call this Digital Garden Published. So what I want to do here is I want to take a look at when was the last time I edited these files. So I can go to Filter, go to All Views, where property DG Publish equals true, and then is true. Check that. And this just gives me a list of every file that is published in my Digital Garden. So for example, if I go to my Digital Garden, Wanderloots.xyz, you can see all the notes here. These are the most recently edited ones, the last updated. I've got all my notes in here. But what would be interesting to me is when was the last time I edited these? When was the last time I reviewed and took a look at this? So let's create another dynamic property. So I'm going to put days since edited. Add a property function. I'm going to put today minus file.mtime. So this is going to show you, again, the last time I edited one of these notes. So I could see and instantly sort when was the most recently updated note, these ones that I updated 18 hours ago, and when was the last note that I edited. This could start being used to be like spaced repetition, for example, where I'm taking a look and calculating a duration of when was the last time I edited this. There might even be an open property. I'm not sure. I'd have to look on the syntax on Obsidian. When was the last time I opened this note in my vault? So like I just mentioned with the Digital Garden, you're able to publish your notes directly from Obsidian to your website for free. And if you're interested in learning how to do this yourself, I have a whole playlist here on Obsidian, digital gardening, and personal knowledge management. And this helps you understand how you can publish your notes for free. I walk through all the different ways that I've learned how to organize my notes in the most effective way for myself, and also the most effective way for connecting to artificial intelligence in the future to help streamline the organization process so that I can focus more on the note-taking and the writing. So I recommend checking out this playlist if you're looking to learn more on how you can maximize your impact of using Obsidian. Okay, so just very quickly, now that I've shown you how all of the June 26th updates are able to impact our ability to control bases, let's take a quick look now at the book card view, because there's a new feature here now where if I go into card view, I can go to configure view and I can actually control the card size. So you can make this a lot bigger if you want to. Again, you can control the property, you can switch it from contain to cover, and now the aspect ratio starts to be a little bit more effective because you can increase the aspect ratio and then increase the card size for whatever makes sense for the type of cards that you're creating here. So that's the first one. Now if we go back to the table view, there is an option here within table where we can go configure view and we can actually control what we want the row height to be. So you can see how all these tags, for example, are being cut off. I can change this to medium. And now we get all the tags fit nicely in this view here. So that's nice that we're able to control the actual height of these rows. In the future, I'm sure they'll make them dynamic, but this is, I'm sure, just an element to control a particular type of table view for now. Then I'm not going to show you the embeds because that's pretty self-explanatory, but the new image function for rendering images inline, that's interesting to me. So now I can go to property image, edit property, and put image. You see there's an error here because I didn't include what I want the image to be. Oh, perfect. So there we go. So if I put in, for example, image cover, rather than having just the card view like this, I can actually reference the specific property in the table view. You can see the image here. So I can bring this over to the side. And now this is where you start to get into a little bit more powerful increasing of the height. I can make this extra tall. And now on the side here, I actually have the images rendering in line with this table. And that's cool because this is a dynamic property now that we'll be able to display here forever whenever I add a cover image. So maybe it makes sense now for me to remove the cover here, and I'm able to just directly reference the cover as the image itself rather than having it listed here. So that was just one other feature that I wanted to show you that I thought was pretty cool. So I hope that that shows you a little bit more how you can use the dynamic elements of this. Okay, and now we're going to get to the last part of this tutorial, which is where I just wanted to quickly show you my project management. So I just recorded another video of me walking through actually how to build this step by step. So we get this full projects board with all of these different options, the ability to filter with tasks, and the ability to calculate, for example, days since a project was started or days remaining for a task. So there's a couple little tweaks in here that I found, it took me a little while to figure out, but once I got it, it was actually pretty simple. And it's nice because now I have this project management system built for myself. So I ended up creating a projects table, and you can see I'm using the card embed here, but I also have this all projects view, and it has all of the same dynamic properties that I have in my tasks view and my ability to go and then filter for specific projects here. So I just wanted to quickly show you that because I think this is a very powerful system. For example, now I can go to tasks, and with all of these properties here, I can just click new, and now I have a new task. And I'm able to go here and link it to a project like my 100 days of writing that I'll be starting soon. And if I go back to my projects, I can now see that under my 100 days of writing project, I have the writing task for new project. So I'm going to go through and build this out a little bit so that I have this nice system that I can keep track of an inbox for myself on what I want to edit, the tasks that I'm establishing for myself. And what's also cool is if I go to the project note itself, the 100 days of writing, I've created an embedded view where if I go down to project embed, it will automatically notice that I'm in the 100 days of writing project itself, and then it will filter itself to show only the tasks related to this project in this particular view. So that's kind of cool that I'm able to set a view that dynamically changes depending on what note the base is embedded in. And again, I walk through this much more in depth in the next video, so I recommend checking that out if you want to learn how you can introduce all of this type of project management and task management within Obsidian using bases. And also, very quickly, I just want to say that I used AI to produce a new type of database as well. So I now have this AI Studio generated base that I was able to build very quickly and very dynamically that has all of this super complex project management system built into it automatically, including due in, importance, due date, all these things that AI was able to help me build. And because the new syntax for bases is very code related, this is similar to JavaScript, I'm able to use tools like NotebookLM to help me plan out my bases, to code it for me, and then edit the code and improve it inside of something like Google AI Studio using Gemini 2.5 Pro, which is much more powerful. So this is going to be a really nice system where I'm able to get AI to help structure the tasks for me, like generate the notes, and then fit them automatically into the project management system that it understands because it helped me build. So I can even take, for example, my entire project that I built separately. I can go find this file on the side here in Projects, Reveal in Finder, and I'm able to actually open this and see the full code here because all of this is being done in the front matter, in the YAML. So this is a cool way to just start to understand how we can work with AI to build out these project management systems and how Bases is really starting to become a much more powerful core plugin because of the way that it's structured, almost like JavaScript. And I just want to mention that if you're interested in getting any of the base templates that I've created here, I will be making them available for my paying YouTube members. So that includes the books base, the project management base, the task management base, and anything else that you're really looking for. I'm happy to help out. And if you're interested in learning more about the AI tools I talked about, like NotebookLM or Google AI Studio, or how you can connect AI to Obsidian, I have a whole AI learning playlist here that walks through much more in depth all of the different features on these tools and my favorite use cases for them. I also have a video that shows you how to use Perplexity and ChatGPT and NotebookLM and Gemini, Google AI Studio that compares all of these tools, how to discover sources in NotebookLM, how to build automatic mind maps. There's a lot of features you can use here. And my favorite tools lately have been NotebookLM and Google AI Studio, so I highly recommend checking out this playlist if you're interested in learning more about how to augment what you're already doing in Obsidian with AI tools. And there you have it. I hope that this video shows you all of the different features that you can now do in Obsidian Bases. I really think that this is making Obsidian far more powerful than it ever has been, because this is a core feature that the team is continuing to build into the infrastructure of Obsidian. We're effectively getting the ability to have full databases inside of Obsidian linked to all of our other nodes with dynamic properties. A reminder that if you want to learn more about what bases are, how you can get going, how you can get access, and how I see it fitting into my bigger philosophy of Obsidian as a whole, I recommend checking out the first video on what is bases and how to use them. Also, stay tuned for the next video where I'm going to use these tools, these updates to bases, to build a full project management system inside of Obsidian. If you found this video helpful, I would love if you would please consider liking and subscribing and sharing with a friend. Word of mouth is the best way for me to continue growing my channel, so I appreciate it a lot. A reminder that I'll also be giving out all of my base templates that I've been building as part of this series to my paying YouTube members. So if you want to get access to these templates, please consider joining my membership. If you want to go deeper into my overarching Obsidian organization system and how I see all of this fitting together in a powerful way, connecting to AI to augment our system, I recommend checking out these playlists. Thanks again for watching, and I will see you in the next video.